And we are back here on Open. We want to introduce you to LitWorld, a not-for-profit organization that actually helps with self-expression, building understanding, and also cultivating confidence. And if you want more information, they help you to cultivate confidence as a tool for self-empowerment. And you got to ask the question, well, how has the coronavirus actually affected LitWorld and the work that they do? Well, we're pleased to have a very special guest joining us, Dorothy Lee, who is the Executive Director of LitWorld, and she joins us now here on Open. And Dorothy, good to have you.
Thanks so much for having us here today.
Yeah, well, we're glad. And, a little bit different situation, not in studio, but certainly we've got you remotely, as most of us in America are really working remotely. But want to ask you the question, first of all, how has the coronavirus affected you as an organization?
Sure thing. Our mission is really around strengthening kids and whole communities through the power of stories. And we work all around the world, side by side with grassroots leaders. And a major part of our philosophy hinges on the fact that learning happens all the time, and it happens wherever you are, especially for young kids, because they're soaking in new information every second of every day. So, of course, with everything going on in the world today, it really resonates with our mission and feels more and more critical than ever to really lean into different types of learning and, not panic, because panic doesn't help us, but really embrace the moment for some experimentation and some different approaches. Lots of wonderful online resources, of course, are flying around, and that's really great to see. We've seen a lot of wonderful authors in our community posting daily read-alouds of some of their favorite work, which is so inspirational and genuinely valuable for our kids, both socially and emotionally and academically.
Well, when we talk about LitWorld, I know you guys have some core strengths, and there's 7 strengths, I believe. And so I was reading a little bit about it. So share with us a little bit about those 7 strengths.
So another major part of our work is really our belief that we all start from a point of strength. And unfortunately, oftentimes traditional education looks at deficits and, the idea that you fill up an empty vessel with knowledge. But at LitWorld, we really believe that everyone comes with so much strength and value and potential. And it's really about leaning into those strengths and exercising them. With our programs, we try to focus on cultivating what we call LitWorld's 7 strengths. And those are belonging, curiosity, friendship, kindness, confidence, courage, and hope. And so these are 7 core ideas that, come about in everyday life all the time and are big ideas that we all grapple with at any age. And on the other hand, they're not often spoken about directly, especially in the classroom. So we really try to center all of our programs around those 7 core ideas. And we focus, as I mentioned, in less traditional learning environments. So typically that means after school and summertime. Our after school is a club model that meets weekly called the Lit Club. And so every lesson, every time the kids come together with their mentors, they're focusing on one of those core 7 strengths and really exploring it with a read aloud of a book that resonates with that strength, doing an art and self-expression or writing activity, maybe an acting or practicing your public speaking kind of activity, and some community building for the group to always touch back into that belonging piece. And in the summertime, it's the summer camp version of all that. So the same thing, only you get to do it every day. So important for kids to have the opportunity to share the stories of their own lives and things that they imagine and wonder about in the world, because the books that are out there may not always represent who they are or what they're experiencing, or there may be great books out there that they're just not able to access. And so by putting their own stories out into the world, whether it's just telling them out loud or when you are able to write them down in your own words, it's such a powerful experience. And it's something that's in human nature. We, going back to the cave paintings, it's humans want to leave a mark on the world and say, I was here, I led my life, my story matters, and it will matter in the future. And So it's important for kids to feel that they have that power as early as possible to really feel their own agency in the world.
Well, tell us now, for people who want to get connected to Lit World, what can they do?
Well, our biggest day typically is World Read Aloud Day. The last time we were in the Bronx, which was on World Read Aloud Day for some wonderful celebrations in schools. And that happens annually on the first Wednesday in February. So that's a little ways away. But in these times where we feel this work is so urgently needed in any form, we're trying to think creatively and get even more outside the box than we usually do. So stay tuned. We haven't publicly announced them yet, but what we're working on right now to launch next week will be a global version of our Lit Club program. So it's typically in person and meeting weekly with a mentor and a group of kids, but we're figuring out how to go digital and how to really connect across the globe with weekly activities and lessons centered around the 7 strengths, and then a more simple activity to really rally and show how we're all in this together. And one thing to hold on to right now is just how small and connected the world is.
Well, Dorothy Lee, thank you so much for sharing a little bit with us about Lit World. Certainly everybody's affected by it, but one thing that we can't get out of this is some hope and joy. That's some things that you guys want to really promote and encourage. And hopefully in this season, through Lit World and also just through our community as a whole, we'll be able to pass on the hope and the joy, even in times such as this. Thank you so much for joining us, Dorothy Lee.
Absolutely. Thanks again.
All righty, Dorothy Lee, Executive Director of Lit World. We'll be back with more Open. Stay with us. A very special show coming up right after this.